When he was executed, he wrote a note that said, "You're killing the wrong man." 3 ladies leave in the car and they drive using the directions down to the boat ramp to meet Oba to get on the boat and go see the sunset. The girls had never been on a boat before. Also, none of the ladies could swim. They get on the boat with Oba, they meet him, and she had written down on the paper a blue and white boat, so she knew what color boat it was. She sees the boat. They get on the boat. They ride off into the sunset. Now, that was on June 1st of 1989. On June 4th of 1989, 3 bodies of 3 different women are found floating in Tampa Bay. The first body, a sailboat, was sailing on the sailboat, and they see off in the distance, they see something floating. They pull up to it and they realize it is a woman's body. Not long after that, the second body, these people were standing on the pier looking over into Tampa Bay, and they see a body floating, and they call the police, and the police are probably like, "Oh my gosh, oh no." They go to the second body. This was about 2 miles away from the first body. As they're literally pulling the second body out of the water, they get a call. About 200 yards east of the second body is a third body floating. Now, when they pull these 3 bodies out of the water, they notice that all of them have duct tape over their mouth. Their hands are bound behind their backs. They are from the waist down only. And all of them had a brick, I believe it was tied around their neck, like a rope. They were all tied with yellow rope, all of them. None of the women had any identification on them. The police had no idea who these women's bodies were, so they started running it on the news, asking people questions. Had anybody gone missing? Anything like that? Does anybody know who these 3 women could possibly be? Obviously, they don't show any faces or anything because they don't know who they are, and their bodies are already decomposing. Not long after that, the hotel manager that worked at the Days Inn Hotel called the police and said that she had a woman and 2 young teenage daughters check into a hotel days prior, and that when the cleaning lady went into the room, she noticed that nothing had been touched. The beds were unmade, and they never checked out. And so, like, all of their stuff is in there, and they never got into the bed, never used anything, and they never checked out. So when the cops went there, they started to, search the room. They found papers, they found notes, they found different stuff, they found identification, and they also found camera film. And in the camera film, when they developed it, they saw the pictures of the girls on the balcony and basically their whole entire trip, which is how they could find or distinguish exactly where they had been and when they had been to those places. Eventually, they found Joe's car that was still parked at the boat launch. When they found that car, they were able to search it. Now, when they searched it, they found the notes. They found the note that Oba had actually written himself, and then they also found the note where Joe had taken down directions where he said where to go. So, and they also thought it was very interesting, the blue/white. Later, they would find out it was a blue and white boat. However, at this time, though, they had no real leads. So this was played on the news. Did anybody have any idea how these 3 women ended up tied, gagged, and with concrete blocks tied to them in 3 different places in the Tampa Bay? Did anybody know what happened? This blue and white, is this a blue and white boat? Does anybody know? Did anybody see them? It's all over the news. They even ran it on Unsolved Mysteries for 3 years. Now, as time did go on, a Canadian woman named Judy Blair came forward. She said that 2 weeks before the murders of the Rogers ladies, she went on a sunset cruise with a guy in a blue and white boat. She gets on the boat with the man, and he gets her out, and he assaults her, and she's begging him before he actually takes it all the way there. She's begging him. She's saying, please don't. She said that he got even more excited when she said that. And he said to her, if you want to live, you need to do it with me. He drives her on this boat back to almost where the shore is. He tells her to jump out and swim. I'm assuming he told her to jump out and swim to shore so it would get all of the fingerprints off of her or whatever. She goes home immediately and takes a shower. And then she goes to the police department. There, she had already gotten rid of any of the DNA by swimming and then showering. When she saw the stuff with these 3 ladies and the description of the blue and white boat, she called back to the police department again. And she was like, listen, this is it happened 2 weeks. These women went missing 2 weeks after this happened to me. I'm convinced it's the same person. First, they call her in and they have her look at the guy that had the other blue and white boat. She said, no, that's not him. She starts describing Oba and they put together a sketch. Now this sketch is going out. They're looking for him. They cannot find this person. Nevertheless, so the investigators decided that they were going to try something different, something that they had never tried before. They took a picture of the writing that Oba had and he had left in Joe's car, and they put it on a billboard and said, if you know anybody with this handwriting, because it was a very distinct handwriting. In one sentence, there was 3 different Y's, and all 3 different Y's were written differently, a little bit differently, but all differently. So they put it on this billboard in hopes that somebody would pass by, recognize this kind of strange or different or unique handwriting, and call in. One day, a woman drives by and she sees the billboard and she goes, that looks exactly like the receipt that I have from this guy that did aluminum work on our home. So she calls the investigator. She's like, I am convinced this is the same handwriting. She brings a receipt in. They do like forensics testing and compare it. And they realize it is an exact match to this guy. And that's Oba Chandler. They go and question Oba. Of course, he didn't do anything. He tries to provide, where he was at this time. His wife is there. He is married at this time. And they're trying to figure out, they're like, listen, we cannot convict this man over his handwriting. Like, we have to have more than this. They call the woman in that he had attacked 2 weeks prior to the Rogers girls, and they have her look at picture lineup, and she pulls him, the very first one, boom, that's him, no questions, that's him. And they're like, oh my gosh, we have him, but we don't have him. So they're like, we're going to call him in for a lineup. They call him in for a lineup. She's like, boom, that's him. No questions asked. But they wanted to make this stick. The piece of evidence, though, however, that gave the detectives that one up so they could actually go and make an arrest on Oba was the ship to shore records. Now, what had happened was the night that Oba had the 3 ladies out on the bay and did everything that he had done to them, when he was finished, he called his wife from the boat to let her know that he was having boat troubles. I doubt he was having boat troubles. He probably just wanted his wife to know why he was going to be 3-4 hours late. He definitely didn't want to tell her because he was murdering a whole family. And they found that he was literally out on the boat, out on the water, on the bay, the same exact day. So they had enough evidence at this point to arrest him. They arrest him. Boom. He goes to trial. He is found guilty. The jury of 12 deliberated for 90 minutes, honey. Found him guilty. And then they deliberated for 30 minutes to give him the death penalty. So they sentenced him with the death penalty. The whole entire time Oba was in prison, he denied it. He said he didn't do it. You've got the wrong man. All the way up until 2011, when he was executed in the state of Florida, he wrote a note that said, you're killing the wrong man, or you're executing the wrong man. When they took him to be executed, Hal was there and he was looking at him through the plexiglass where it's a 2-way mirror, and he watched him be executed. And they asked him before they gave him lethal injection, is there anything that you would like to say? And he just said no and closed his eyes. And this man is another one of those that looks like a regular person.